Hello everyone and welcome back to another edition of the RAW Smackdown here on Very Cold Lasagna for the week of June 12th, 2023. I gotta admit to you all, my emotions are still flying all over the place from that crazy ending that we saw this past Friday on SmackDown. And we'll talk about it when we get there, but for now, let's get to my other personal highlights from this week's episodes of Raw and SmackDown from the WWE. So kicking things off, as I noted last week in the Raw Smackdown, we had a brand new, in air quotes, Women's Championship unveiled for the Raw Women's Champion, Asuka. So that solved half of the problem that we were having with these branded Women's Championships that were on the wrong brand since the WWE draft in April. So it was only a matter of time until Rhea Ripley, the SmackDown Women's Champion, got her own brand new spanking championship. That answer came to pass this past Monday on Raw when we saw the unveiling of the Women's World Championship. And I gotta say, out of the titles that we've seen so far unveiled, the Women's World Championship looks the nicest out of all of them. It's basically Seth Rollins' World Heavyweight title, except it's smaller and it's got the white strap, which makes it look cleaner, by the way. But anyway, it's not really saying much. And while it solves the branded Women's Championship problem, it doesn't solve the fact that WWE still has basically no competition for Rhea Ripley. They're basically still not building anything up for Rhea in terms of her next title defense. Like, WWE, come on. There's basically still like a bottom barrel in the division. Why can't you just try to rebuild some of them up? But anyway, also funny enough, people are now just talking about this problem that I've been talking about for weeks now, the lack of competition. Funny how I was right all along and now people are just bringing this up. But I'm not here to brag about that. I'm here to talk about Rhea Ripley's spanking new Women's World Championship that she received on Raw. So meanwhile, within the Judgment Day, Damian Priest qualified in the Money in the Bank ladder match, beating Matt Riddle for that last spot for now, hint hint. And still, dissension continues to be in the ranks between Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Finn Balor continues to grow jealous of Damian Priest's recent success as he talked privately backstage with JD McDonough, or McDonut, whatever his name is, as he looks to maybe recruit JD and potentially kick out Damian Priest. But anyway, that was Raw for you. Not really much else happened on that show. So let's transition over to SmackDown, where dissension continues to be in the ranks, especially within Damage Control. Bayley and Io Sky once again had miscommunication during Io Sky's match with Zelina Vega, which Zelina Vega won thanks to that miscommunication. And then backstage, Io and Bayley were arguing, and then on behalf of Bayley, Io Sky accepted a challenge from Shotzi Blackheart, which put Bayley's Money in the Bank spot on the line for next week on SmackDown. Things can get spicy if Bayley loses that match, or maybe even if Io wins the Money in the Bank and Bayley's still in that match, maybe it could create some further tension. I don't know. Either way, we could see the end of Damage Control very soon, even without Dakota Kai. And hey, the sooner that they end, the better for me. Obviously, the big story going into this SmackDown is obviously the Bloodline. And in this week's edition of Days of Our Bloodline, it was decision time for Jey Uso, like actual decision time. Last week was a cock tease. This week, there was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide for Jey Uso because Roman Reigns was back on this show. So in the main event segment, Jey Uso tried to make the choice easy for both himself and for Roman Reigns by having Roman choose between him or Paul Heyman. But Roman decided to turn things around and do the exact same thing that Paul Heyman did last week when Roman wasn't there. He decided to tell Jey that we're trying to groom you to be the next tribal chief whenever I'm done. Later on, out comes Jimmy to try and convince his brother to join him back on his side, but then Roman just tries to stir the pot again, try to be that master instigator and tell him that when we labeled you as the right-hand man, there was one man that had a problem with that labeling, your brother. And then that got Jey all pissed. He got angry at his brother for doubting him like all this time. Jey went on this tirade, laying out truth bombs on his brother. It looked like he was gonna be that right-hand man. Oh yeah, he was gonna be the right-hand man.
And I'm out too.
3 years of being that bitch, being that one, all came to a head here as Jey gave a super kick 3 years in the making on Roman Reigns. And they gave one to Solo Sikoa. They gave a double super kick to Roman Reigns to end SmackDown, set up a huge tag team main event in London in Money in the Bank. The Usos are back, ladies and gentlemen, and the Bloodline is officially dead? Question mark? I say question mark because we don't know yet, but holy shit, that ending, that was something else. Like 3 years in the making. Jey Uso finally broke away from the tribal chief. Like, holy hell. Now, I thought it was going to be at Money in the Bank during a title match between Roman versus Jimmy, but hell, they decided to do it here. I'm not mad about that at all. Like, holy shit. That was something else. So, Jey finally gets his one up after Hell in a Cell 2020 when he had to become that right-hand man, and he finally got his revenge. At least for that night. We'll see what happens at Money in the Bank and maybe at SummerSlam. But holy shit. We're in the end game now, ladies and gentlemen. The bloodline could be officially dead, and this story is going to be into war. We're in the end game now. Holy shit. But anyway, I'd like to know your thoughts on that ending to SmackDown and the brand new Women's World Championship for Rhea Ripley, and other thoughts and personal highlights from this week's episodes of Raw and SmackDown. So that's it for this week's edition of the Raw Smackdown. I am your host, DylanLasagna, and yeah, keep that lasagna very cold in the fridge with your takes on the world of sports. And until next time, peace out.